Okay YouTubers, we're back with the drill press head casting firmly bolted down, and this spindle bore here clocked in so that the zero is set over that. The bore for the pedestal or pole up this end is also on centre line, and so we're firmly secure there. And I've decided the first thing I'm going to do is run an end mill around this outside of this casting to make it concentric with the centre bore. Now I've also decided just to type in some raw G code to make that happen, and I'm going to do that on the MDI in Mach 3. And so let's get started. I'm also manually turning on the spindle. I'll start that, so there's going to be some noise from that. The first instruction I'm going to type in is to move out this way in the X direction to plus 35, which we've got a nominal radius here of 27, and we've got a 16mm tool here, which 27 plus an extra radius of 8 should give a tool path around here at around 35mm radius. So we're going to type in the 35mm radius and have the cutter move out to here, and then begin a cut around to this point, and then from that point around the other side. The head's quietened down a little bit there in the process, so you may be able to hear me better. So let's get started. I'm moving here just to select the MDI, coming down to the input section. I've had a little bit of a play here already. So the first thing I want to do is go to, I read it as go, it's G0, which is a rapid move, to X35. I'll press enter on that, and you'll see the job move across to that side of the boss. The next move I want to make is a G1, which is a machining speed. I want to drop the Z-axis down to -2. And you'll see that may just start to cut the job. We'll see what happens. Okay, so that has hit on the high spot of the lobe, and we're going to do a trial run around the perimeter of that boss, just roughly taking slightly less than 2mm. So the instruction for a G code to turn a radius is something like this one I've got here. We're currently at plus 35. I'll move up using the up arrow key here to this instruction. We've got to go G2, which is to cut clockwise around that boss. We'll move across. In the X direction, we've got to move across to the other side of the 180 degrees across from where we are, which is at -35, and then a radius of 35. So those that are up on their G code, and I only know about 3 G codes, this is one of them, will understand what I'm doing there. The others, look it up, it's pretty simple. I'm going to come back and start that process just by pressing return here. As I mentioned, this is a 16mm tungsten end mill for flute. We're going fairly slowly there. You can see taking less than 2mm cut, and already I can see we're running pretty parallel to the internal bore there. I'm going to speed it up a little bit because it's not cutting anymore there now because of the eccentricity of it. I'm using the feed rate override, and we'll step it up. I'm up to 150mm per minute. I'm keeping going because there's nothing cutting. And now it's finished on the other side there. The first G code has travelled 180 degrees around the part. Now, from there, we'll come back to the screen. I'm back in the MDI. I'm going to modify this G-code instruction to make the other half of the cut. It's still a G2 clockwise, X going to go to positive 35 and R35 is the radius. So that's all that's required. Remove that minus sign and we'll proceed. I'll put you back. We're still travelling at a reasonable rate of knots there and we're starting to cut. I'm not sure whether we're going too fast. I might slow it down a bit. Okay, so the second cut has cut the other half there. I'm quite happy with the look of that. It seems like we're picking up a nice parallel cut around there, missing half the back of it, but let's just complete a deeper cut now down the face here. And I'm going to just plunge down from where I am, perhaps another 5mm, just to, it should be fine. So come back to the screen. This time we're wanting to change the Z-axis. I'll come up to the G-code instruction. G1 is normal cutting speed. Z is the Z-axis we're wanting to change. Z's currently on -2, as you see up here, and we're going to change that to let's make it -10, which will give us a reasonable cut. Now when I press return there, we'll see that end mill plunge down. I'll put you back so you can watch that. And now we're going to start those G-code instructions again that sends it around the boss. So let's shoot up to the first one is the -35, radius 35. So I'm happy with the way that cutter's operating. It's not firing chips everywhere. It's now not cutting, so I'll speed up the feed rate. So I'm shooting it up to 200mm per minute. and it's going to stop there waiting for the next instruction. I'll bring you back to the screen. I'm just using the up arrow key. Now what I just did then was a problem. I pressed the up arrow key and it moved the Y direction for me, which I didn't want to happen. It was still, the finger was over the feed rate button. I'm going to stop the video there and bring everything back to 0 to resume from where we are. So we're back to cutting 10 mil down from the top at a radius of 35. We're going to continue the rest of that cut round to match up here. I've just got to press the go button. Feed rate's back to 100 millimeters per minute at the moment, and we're obviously not cutting anything. I'll probably speed this part of the video up. Here it's starting to cut, so I'm pleased I didn't change it. I think there's some draft on here from the casting, so I suspect we will pick up more and more material as we bring the end mill down. I can ready the next instruction on the MDI that it'll follow on as soon as we get here, so I'll drop it down another 10 millimeters. So we're not picking up any material there at the moment, but you'll notice when it gets around to 180 degrees this time, it continues on because I've got the next instruction queued ready to roll it back to the start here. So I'll just let it roll out here without playing with the feed rate. We nearly finished the first instruction, and we noticed before the second instruction started cutting fairly soon after the 180 degree mark anyway. And I think we can go another 10 millimeters. We can. So I'm going to drop the tool down at the end of this instruction. We'll drop the tool down another 10 millimeters and start the next instruction. So you saw there was no delay in finishing that cut to beginning the next one, and I've also got the instruction following this cut to follow on to come around and finish here at this stage. I'm guessing there's about a millimetre clearance around this side. So I'm going to try, we're going to plunge in sideways around a millimetre more here and cut at full 30 millimetre cutting length here and do a complete circle. So our next instruction is going to reduce the radius by 1 millimetre, and I'll start that process now so that it seems fairly seamlessly. So the radius now has been reduced from 35 to 34 millimetres, and our cutter and feed rates seem to be working fine, and I'll type in the next instruction to handle the next 180 degrees. We're getting the side here now cleaning up with this cut, which was what I was after. You can see the 1mm step down there. We'll probably have a line there when we're finished, but perhaps an unfortunate place to start this process, but that's the way it is. We're now on to the second half of the cut, the second instruction. At this stage we're coming around just to finish on this mark. I will put an instruction to move the tool 5mm away from the job when we get here. So we're coming to the finish and we're moving away so that we can shut down. I'm turning the spindle off manually, and I think we've achieved what we were looking for there in now a parallel wall all the way around that boss. There's a step at the bottom there, but I'm figuring I'll later clean that up with a ball end mill after we've done some surfacing on this face. So that's the end of this section. This is part 2. I'll come back to you when I'm set up to do some more.